So the shaila was that Eibishter told Moshe Rabbeinu, Ushmi Havaya lo nidai him, that I did not know, make myself known to the others with my name Havaya, which means, as Rashi explains, that I made promises that they did not see me fulfill, and he still didn't question me. That's the pshat according to Rashi. But the simple pshat is they did not know me Shem Havaya, they knew me Shem like him, Kale, not Havaya. But the fact is that Shem Havaya was, Hashem did speak to them in invoking, employing Shem Havaya. So on a deeper level, we have to understand. To understand that he brings the pasuk kilayidach mimenu nidach, that a person is not pushed away from him forever, from the Eibishter. So in Kabbalah it says that the fulfillment of that. Do you hear me, guys? Yeah. Hear me? Okay. The fulfillment of that it's not too late. When a person dies, too late. So the fulfillment of that already happened very early in history, and that is that the generation of Mitzrayim were misaken the chet of the generation of the Deir Aflaga of the Tower of Babel, who sinned with bricks and mortar, and that was the tikkun in Mitzrayim, the shibud, the slavery of the bricks and mortar. And then the Zohar says a lashon that all the nitzutzim, which means every spark, every individual yid, in the end, and this is the lashon the Zohar Seifon, it's the end of paragraph 2 of paragraph base. Seifon nishtaba begufa de malka. The end, nishtaba means to be absorbed, to be drawn into the body of the king, the Eibishter himself, that every yid will be one with the Eibishter in the deepest way. So then he went on to say, how is it possible for a neshama that comes down the mata as a limited entity, is about gvul and nivra, it assumes a created form, a finite creatures in our manifested form, that we should be absorbed within the body of the king and become one with the Eibishter? How is that possible? And the answer is, that's Torah mitzvahs. That Torah mitzvahs are the levushim, are the garments, the connection by which we do and can have this connection. That's the meaning that the Zohar says, that Avraham, ba bayomim, he came of days. The simple meaning is he got old, he came of days. But the deeper meaning is he came with his days. Days means the levushim. Every day he fulfilled what he needed to do, Torah mitzvahs, and therefore he was connected. None were missing. All his days were whole. All his garments, all his Torah mitzvahs were missing. In the allotted days that the Eibishter gives, each person, according to the levushim, the days, the garments, the opportunities, the mitzvahs that he needs for his neshama. Now that's where we're up to. However, let's go further. You'll see already now the Maimer, boom. Not everybody merits you call Yom of Shleimer, that all his days should be complete. The Zohar, they shouldn't be missing even one moment, 1 hour, 1 moment that he's not dressed. Meaning his neshama is not invested in Torah mitzvahs. Not everybody merits that. He walks around physically dressed, but he could be spiritually naked. So what's the Eitzah? The diak is 2 things: a tshuva, number 1, and kol yomov, all of his days, because the whole point is baba yomim, every day has to have its garments. You got to be dressed every day. You can't walk around exposed. So if he's missing the garment, so he can fix it with kol yoma b'tshuva. What's tshuva? V'nyin tshuva, who oisi is busha. Tshuva contains the letters busha, which means shame. I know shakashe is burning v'yami b'sichel b'gedolas Hashem. Now it's interesting. You'd expect what they're going to say. What's the shame? I'm embarrassed. He's walking around spiritually naked, exposing all of his flaws. Sins are not just naked; they're blemishes. They don't just leave us naked; they leave us blemished. So that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. But that's not what he says. The embarrassment is. When he will delve deeply with his mind in the greatness of Hashem, Hashem and the Eibishter fills all of existence, v'soiviv kalalmin, and embraces, transcends all of existence, v'kula kameka l'chashiv, and all before him is absolutely insignificant. These are the three dargis: Mala, Soiviv, and Atzmos. Atzmos is in the dargah. So this the great Eibishter that fills our worlds and transcends our worlds. I mean, it's an intimate connection, and then a connection which is beyond us, and then beyond. The Yecho Oymet Olav, and the Eibishter standing over him, and looking at his actions, chul, etc., lack thereof. As a yipol olav habush mimen yisbarach, then he'll be ashamed, embarrassed before Hashem. The person is not embarrassed not to wear clothes in the privacy of his house, of his bedroom, of his bathroom. Doesn't want to be seen, but the point is here: seen by who? Seen by the Eibishter. And in this shame, embarrassment, there are many levels to the loftiest level. The more a person ascends in his grasp and appreciation of the greatness of Hashem, now they're shifting this and applying this even to someone that does avodah. But his avodah becomes very small in his own estimation in the face of the great Hashem. And he will feel that he's absolutely distant. This applies even therefore to the greatest tzaddikim. And therefore he would be very embarrassed before the Eibush. I was just reminded the other day because I had an aliyah. Didn't have an aliyah in a long time. That's because of my surgery, I can't go to mikveh. So actually, I'm going today for the first time in a long time. Anyway, but the Dubai offered me the aliyah, and I was thinking before not to take it. But he said, you asked me. I said, okay, so I had to lane. So anyway, but I reminded myself the Mittel Rebbe refused an aliyah. He never took an aliyah. He only took an aliyah with the kol on the Orim on Simchas Torah. And he said these words, Hashem, he's embarrassed to be called up to the Torah, the Mittel Rebbe. But with the children, he went with the children in the schus of their innocence. There, Mashakos, and it's what we say in Slichres, L'cha Hashem Matzdaka, unto you is Hashem the righteousness, V'lona B'ishas upon him. And we are shamefaced. The Koyal Kol Echad Misol, this is every year, they come tzaddikim, even tzaddikim. So far we're in good company. Not exactly for the same reason, but also the tzaddik also has, Rabbi has a true sense of shame. Shegam etzam shaykh hamayim with the matzav the nidach, he can also feel far. He can also, and does feel far. Mitzad etzem min ha'yirida, the yirida zishmos lemata, his soul descended. From this very fact that the soul descended all the way down here, the bir mikta, to a deep pit, as it were. Tomorrow, instead of it was hewn out from under the Hashem's throne of glory, and it's a pasuk of Ima Melech b'malachta Yoshvu Sham. It's a pasuk in Divrei Yomim. It's an allusion to Yidden that they sat with the king, together with the king, the king's people, the king's officers. They sat with him. That's referring to the Neshama L'mayla. Ima Melech b'malachta Yoshvu Sham. They were right there, the king at the heavenly throne. That's where the Neshama was. And now the tzaddik, even the tzaddik, is in a guf gashmi in Elam Hazeh. He feels far. And therefore down here, he's betachlas abitl. Commissioner Kosev, as Moishe Rabbeinu said about him and Adam, and nachnu mo. And what are we? We are nothing. The Yidden were complaining. But there is a mid-sentence here, that even though Taka down here, the betachlas abitl, like Moshe Rabbeinu said, v'nachnu mo, but still at the end of the day, yeshna mitzias, they still feel their existence, and that they say it, v'nachnu mo, what are we, but we're still a we. They give it Shem, so that's the feeling. But they know the truth, that the only reality is the Eibishter, that I feel I'm something, even the small thing that tzaddik feels. He knows that's a sheker. Hepech ha'emes. And that's the shame. The shame is that I'm living a lie. I feel he's talking bottle and he's humble, he's the tzaddik, but he still feels his mitzias, and that's in contradiction that I feel my existence on some level, me, when the only reality is Hashem. And so this is through his bondeness that he thinks this. That Shemargis is atzmikim only the Evian Kimshute, like David Melech says in Tehillim, he is poor and destitute. Shemis Bayish B'Yose is deeply embarrassed. And whenever he remembers his Maimon, the Matzav, the Neshama came down the Mata and feels itself a Metzias, that's his problem. That he feels his sense of self on some level. That's his deep shame. He cries with the bitterness of his soul. Like every Yid does, be Makipurim between the Yom Kippur at Ne'ilah. This is a high level of Yid as Baishas. This is an awe of shame, in awe of God, a fear of God, and shame. That's the highest level of fear. It's not a fear of punishment, not consequences, but his fear is the embarrassment that he feels there is a Metzias in the presence of the truth of Hashem. That shame, that's the highest fear of a God, that's called Yiras HaBoishes. And that's even higher than the awe that is engendered by the loftiness, the grandeur of Hashem. The greatest is the sense of shame. That's the deepest. That's the highest madrege, and that's the highest level of tshuva. That's tshuva that has the letters busha, shal yodim, amalu, mashem. When a Jew senses this, that's the means. Not the point is not to remain stuck in the shame, but this is the means by which he fills and completes asachsara bayomim, that which he lacked in the days, in the garments of Torah mitzvahs of a particular day. I mean, the tzaddik like Avraham is not missing days. He's not missing garments. We do. So the conclusion is applying to us that this tshuva, which even he said that tzaddik experiences in dafka, and certainly for us, so it's this tshuva that can fulfill and make up for the lost opportunities, the lost days, the lost mitzvahs the missing garments. Is Gimel. Yeah, we'll go a bit further. Zeo inyan Golos Mitzrayim, that's Golos Mitzrayim. Hina yesh Mitzrayim Dusha. There is a holy Mitzrayim. It means all is good, but it's limited. But the Bechinas Mitzrayim de Kedusha, from holy Mitzrayim, Nimshach v'nishtalshel, that can lead to Achanasa Lamata Beklipa Ervasar. It's still, it ends up and like Klippa, the nakedness of the land. That's how Mitzrayim is described. Now, the Rebbe says here that the expression Ervasar, so the word Erva, nakedness, is a reference to the place of the mill of the bris. The Haino Pchinas Pegama bris. So Golos Mitzrayim can descend all the way down to the person blemishes the bris. Shemetamim Moishe. They make him impure. Now, the Lashon is also interesting. He doesn't say he made himself impure. But they make him impure. Because this could be a reference. I mean, there's voluntary waste of seed, Chas v'sholem, and there's involuntary. So when a person descends in Mitzrayim, Baruchlius and Betamim Moishe. So he's even against his conscious will. It's not against his deeper will, but his conscious will, he's contaminated. The Egyptians enslaved them. They didn't want this to happen, but it happens. The Hoyer, why? Because he's in that Vasaretz. That's where he is. Like we said before, in the previous oaths, Mitzrayim. In Mitzrayim, the Yid in Mitzrayim are Gilgul Deir Aflaga. So again, we said that they were the reincarnation of the generation of the dispersal of the Deir Aflaga. Says in Kabbalah, Deir Aflaga Nizgalgal Nitzutzin Shel Keri Shehitzi Odem Marishim Meshech Kuf Lamed Shom. For 130 years, Adam separated from Chava. And during that time, there was Keri. Keri means involuntary waste seed. So those neshamas of the Deir HaFlaga, they were the result of this, of Avram's, of Adam Arishan's wasted seed. Keri. Keri means, literally, Keri just means something happens, an occurrence. And then we said that the Deir HaFlag was reincarnated in Golos Mitzrayim. So what's it? It's Mitzrayim, you're not Tshuva. So he's saying that going out of Mitzrayim is the Tshuva for all Avedas, but particularly this one, because this is the core, the deepest. That's how a person comes into the world. His whole physical being comes as from the seed. And when it is in a sinful, wasteful way, so that it contaminates to a very core level. So what's the tshuva? The tshuva again is the shame that he feels very far from the Eibishter. He is awakened to call out to Hashem, and to be nullified and incorporated in his blessed light. And this the pasuk says that you will come out of Mitzrayim and the result will be v'yedaitem k'niyavaya. You'll know that I am God. What's v'yedaitem? Shezeng in iskashrus. Yediyah. Knowledge is iskashrus. That's what the word deya means. As in V'adam yodas chava. Adam knew. Chava means became one. So knowing Hashem is iskashrus. B'shem havaya that's been connected to the Eibishter. Shadei Tshuva, which happens through Tshuva, through coming out of Mitzrayim, and he reaches a level far beyond his previous good avodah. Showing that's a summary of the Alter Rebbe's Maimon. Yeah, we should go further. Yeah. h'tשכ lahavin, the Rebbe has a very big shayla. Why did the Alter Rebbe say this Maimer on Parshas VoEira? Now, first explain his question. What does he mean by his question? By prefacing that which the Rebbe Rashab related. This is recorded in Torah Shalom. And he said about the Alter Rebbe like this. When he was writing Tanya or anything, whatever the Alter Rebbe was involved in, whatever level at that time, whatever he was writing about, that's what he was holding about. And everybody in the environment felt it. They felt what the Alter Rebbe was experiencing. Moving, says that Rabbi Rashab, it's understood what the Chassidim felt. Beish Rabbein Azok and Omer Sadrush VoEira. And the Alter Rebbe said this Maimah VoEira, Shmei Avaya, being in the speaks about Layidach and Nidach that the Jews never pushed away. It must have been, he said, Moira Godel, a tremendous Moira awe that gripped the Chassidim base amid his drush zeh when the Alter Rebbe was saying this Maimer. In the words of the Rebbe Rashab, Beis Chassidus, like it's an angry Chassidus. Beis means like angry. Go Moidedik, very awesome. That's how the Rebbe Rashab describes this Maimer. The Rebbe is asking, Maimer Kazeh, so such a Maimer, Masim Yosef, when is it more appropriate that the Alter Rebbe should say it? The Parsha which deals with going down to Mitzrayim, that's when. Previous week. That describes the Matzav of Yidden as they were in Golos and in Shibud Mitzrayim, Egyptian, in the slavery. The difficult labor, bricks and mortar and bricks. So what's the reason? The Parshas VoEira. Why is he saying in Parshas VoEira? This begins already Geula. This is the good news. Heichel me'amakas, we get the makas. Shikash Mitzrayim, which they wish to struck in Mitzrayim. As soon as the makas began, they were no longer slaves. So talking about this tshuva, the matzav, the descent of in Golus Mitzrayim, and this very powerful and Beizeh Chassidus, angry Chassidus. Not angry is the right word. It's a hard word to translate it. God Moededik, says the Rebbe Rashab. So the Rebbe asked, where should that Maimah have been said? Not in Parshas VoEira, but in Parshas Shmos. Yeah, we should go a little bit further. We should stop here, Dubi. You have to go. Can you still listen? No.
I can listen, yeah.
You still could?
I can listen. I'm going to turn off the screen, but I will still hear you.
Okay, so we'll go a little bit further.
It's very good, this Myers.
We're going to finish this Maimon together with Fishel and Davidl. He didn't come today.
Emir Hashem.
Because I'm just going to learn it tomorrow, because Monday we're going to start Basi Gani.
Okay.
It would be a big pity we'd start such a Maimon not to finish it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Find the time, Shabbos, Chaves, we'll make up a time.
Okay. Shkoyach.
Okay, so beginning I say, V'yuven behektem mashnes by Liel. Understand, by first prefacing what we said before in the Maimon of Kislev, where he contrasts the period of Moishe Rabbeinu and Shlomo Melech. Shav Biru Shadei Shlomo by Naili Yosem Biru Shadei Hayadei Moishe. Even though Shlomo Melech was a revelation of godliness, then that was much higher than Moishe Rabbeinu, and therefore he explained at great length the different and deeper effect on the world. Shadei Moishe Omar Moishe Rabbeinu said, "Kum Hashem, rise up, Hashem, v'yafutze v'achav yunusem misanecha." That your enemies should be scattered, and and those who hate you shall flee. But they don't disappear. They're still enemies, and they're still those that hate you. Not like David says in Tehillim, which Shlomo HaMelech embodied. He prepared everything which Shlomo HaMelech brought to realization. Like the pasuk says, everything that David HaMelech did was inspired by Hashem and then bequeathed to Shlomo. And what does David say, which Shlomo Melech said? Rise up, Hashem, to your tranquility, to your resting place, which is a deeper biru, causing tranquility. Meaning by Moshe Rabbeinu's time, even though in the desert, how did they refine the snakes, the scorpions, all the clippers? It was through the traveling of the Odin. It wasn't natural, it was miraculous. By Yeshua was miraculous, natural. By Moshe was miraculous. But still, despite all of that, despite the refining and clearing the path for the Eden to travel, though there are no longer any opposition, but they still exist. They're still there, but they're scattered. And scattered and running away. Mashenkin Shlomo, but Shlomo explained, should be Yom at his time, he was the 15th generation from Avraham. And so that's representing the 15th day of the month when the moon is fully aligned with the sun, where Yidden are reflecting fully Hashem's revelation. He sat on the throne of Havaya. He remained in his place. The menucha in tranquility and peace. But and naturally in his batla the enemy and those that hate you become completely nullified. On the contrary, not just nullified, they were drawn to him. The Queen of Sheba heard the fame of Shlomo Melech. She came to Yerushalayim with a great host, with a great army, great entourage, etc. And he has in brackets aside from the simple meaning of the pasuk, which never leaves a simple meaning. It means by coming with all this great multitude, she brought the sparks. She brought the sparks with all the things that she brought with it to Shlomo, which Shlomo elevated. And he concludes, and this all happened because she heard about him. She saw. The revelation was so powerful that just hearing about it drew her. Paul is affected by the tzutzis. She said to Kedusha that those sparks should be aroused and drawn to Kedusha, bedugmas avuka, like a torch that draws every spark. We'll continue tomorrow, but it was still limited. As we learned in the Maimah, even Shlomo Melech only attracted those sparks that were not so dark, that were responsive to holiness, to beauty, to godliness, to meaning, to purpose. In contrast to the third level of Birur, which is Mashiach, which we learned at length in the Maimah, we'll continue Be'ez Hashem tomorrow.